Thank you so much for joining me, Senator. Can you tell us a little bit about the IDEA Full Funding Act?
Well, this is legislation Chris Van Hollen is introducing that I'm proud to join along with Alex Padilla. I carried a similar legislation in the House, and this would basically honor the federal government's commitment that when we established the IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, we promised that the federal government would provide at least 40% of the funding. Well, we've never done that. We've never come close. In fact, I think we've only gotten about 14, 15%. So we are really derelict in what we committed to doing. And what that means is it puts a lot of pressure on the school districts to provide really important, necessary services. And sadly, what's going on in the Congress now is going to make that potentially far worse because they're going after this funding.
Yes, they are. And speaking of challenges to public education at the federal level, what advice would you give to Californian educators and parents who want to advocate for our students' rights here in California to defend against what's going on in Congress and at the federal level?
It's really important to make your voices heard. Congress does respond to what they hear from constituents, but they respond to the constituents they hear from. And so weigh in with your member of Congress and your senators in California and elsewhere. Make sure they understand how important education funding is, how important their kids' education is. I went to public schools, our kids went to public schools. I just have a great fondness for the wonderful teachers I had that I still remember so well years later and left such a formative impact on me. And so folks need to share their experience and make their voices heard. I literally just stepped off the Senate floor where Ben Ray Lujan is offering an amendment to the budget bill to make sure that we're not cutting SNAP, that we're not cutting food assistance, that we're not going to be cutting, the lunches that we provide in schools, which are often the best meal of the day for kids.
Yep, absolutely. I'm so glad you said to call because my followers are always asking, does it make a difference? Does it matter? Do they hear us? And it's really comforting to hear that, yes, it does matter.
Well, it absolutely matters. In fact, what I will often ask my staff is, what are we hearing on this bill? What are we hearing on this measure? How many letters have we gotten? How many calls? And what are they saying? So it's important to me, and I know that's true of many of my colleagues. Now, there certainly are people here that are deaf to their constituents' pleas and they have other priorities, but they need to know if they're going to vote against schools and against teachers and against kids, that they're going to pay a price on election day. I think a lot of my Republican friends right now are afraid to go to a town hall with their constituents because they know what they're going to hear, and it's not going to be good.